We are live from Zoom to your house. This is Toastmasters Golden Speakers of Fairfield, Iowa. We are at our regular Tuesday meeting. It is August 4th, 2020. And we are meeting virtually at 7:45 every Tuesday. I am your president, Aaron Russell. Our club mission, the mission of every Toastmasters club, particularly our own, is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Let's hear it for our mission. Today we have
been patiently waiting for us to resume.
What's that?
Mr. Fogel has been patiently waiting for us to begin.
We are, speaking of Bob, he has a speech for us today, so we're looking forward to hearing that speech later on at today's meeting. And now let's move on to our meeting proper. Starting off with our Toastmaster of the day, who I lost the agenda. Someone help me out.
It's going to be Jean, Toastmaster.
I'd like to pass it off to our Toastmaster for this evening, Jean Symington Craig.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight we have a prepared speech. We also have a theme for the day, which is reading. Quote, a reader lives 1,000 lives before he dies. The man who never reads lives only one. J.R.R. Martin of Game of Thrones fame. And then think before you speak, read before you think. Fran Lebowitz. And I'm trying to remember, I think she's just a pretty well-known activist. It's our time to have our roles, and I will be reading those out. I am the timer. I don't have my colored cards quite yet, but I will be timing. I will be timing using green, yellow, and red cards. I'll time the prepared speech, which is 5 to 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, I will show the green. At 6 minutes, I'll show the yellow. And at 7 minutes, I'll show the red. And at 30 seconds after that is when you have to be wrapped up. The table topics are 1 to 2 minute speeches, impromptu speeches. The green card will be at 1. The yellow card will be at 1.5, and red card will be at 2 minutes, and then you have 30 seconds to finish up. The evaluations, we have both the speech evaluator and the table topics evaluator. Those are generally 2 to 3 minutes. Green card at 2, yellow at 2.5, and red at 3. And then you have 30 seconds to wrap up. We'll see about table topics. Generally, we do try to keep it at 2 to 3 minutes, but we'll see how we're doing. And I will give a report at the end of the meeting. I will also time other segments of the meeting as well. Our next role player we'd like to hear from is our grammarian, Aaron Russell.
All right. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. As your grammarian for tonight, I have 2 responsibilities. The first is to come up with a word of the day. Today, our word of the day is insidious. Insidious is an adjective having a gradual creeping effect, developing so gradually as to go unnoticed. And a good and topical example would be this this insidious virus that's slowly infecting our entire world's population right underneath our noses. And so I will be looking for the usage of that word during today's meeting. And my second role as the grammarian is to look for, in general, good uses of language in terms of phrase, and also uses of language that I will note as in need of improvement. And I will give a report at the end of the meeting.
Let's see, we have an counter who's also Aaron Russell.
Thank you again, Madam Toastmaster. In my second role as the counter, I will be noting words and sounds that are used as a crutch or a filler, or filler words as we call them. During the meeting, I will listen for these overused words, such as well, so, like, but, repeats or Xeroxes, and other things that I will look for as well. And once again, I will give a report at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
All right, we will hear from our general evaluator later, who will be Rick Starr. And also, just to give Rick a little bit of levity, he will be our joke master as well. All right, we're ready to go. Bob, do you have an introduction for me?
It's gonna be a fun night.
Is that the introduction?
Yes.
Okay.
You'll be surprised.
All right. So we'll just make sure, because this is one of those things where you're so busy focusing on getting your speech together and practicing and everything, and then there's always that 11th hour, oh dang, I don't have an introduction yet. I do it. I've done it every speech I've ever done.
Well, make it a little easier for Jean. It's on Who Do You Think You Are is my speech this evening. And we'll be hearing from that person this evening. And he will be a surprise guest.
Okay. All righty. Okay, well, I'm going to also mention that I have a green thing and I have a red thing. And I guess what I'll do, I'll go like this for yellow, because I don't have any yellow things. I don't know what else to do. Or you know what I can do? This pink thing is going to be yellow. It's going to be the yellow. So just, this is real flexibility here. All right. Okay, well, first let's, oh, Dan just threw a towel at me. First, let's have our evaluator for Bob read us the objectives, and that would be Dan Craig.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Tonight, Bob is going to be doing his first speech in level 2. Here's the purpose of the project. It's for the member to learn about different communication styles and identify his or her primary style. The purpose of the speech is for the member to share the impact of his or her style on others. And your title, Bob, is Who Do You Think You Are? Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right.
Okay.
So back
thank
to
you,
Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So let's go ahead and be prepared to give Bob some evaluation criteria or information in chat. And people's communication styles do have an insidious influence on how relationships and interpersonal interactions go with others. So without any further ado, Let's go ahead and welcome Bob Fogel.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and our many fans on TV land. Tonight, live from Washington, Iowa, is a speech discovering your communication style. And here's your host, Bob Fogel. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Tonight on Who Do You Think You Are? Tonight's first question is, our contestant, Bob, how did you come up with the understanding what your communication style is? Well, let me tell you. After a grueling 5-minute self-assess test that I took, the fact-filled, and the 12 questions I answered, I came to the conclusion that I am an initiating communication stylist. An initiating communication stylist simply is that I'm very sociable. I'm enthusiastic. I'm fun-loving. I'm very spontaneous. Matter of fact, so much so I fly by the seat of my pants. Also, I have the tendency to talk too much. I am friendly at work, and I like to keep a friendly environment at work with my employees. One might ask, Bob, how did you discover the way you are? I figured it out, that I was born this way. It was a gift from God. Also, in addition to that, is my mom nurtured it. The reason I believe she nurtured it, because we share the same communication style with each other. Matter of fact, so there's never really a crossword between my mom and I that I ever can remember, and she's going to 82 years old. So it's an exciting time. It's not that mom and I don't have bad times, because we live in this world, bad times arise to everybody. It's just that we choose to think of the fun times, because we realize that laughter is a healer. So we might as well just laugh that off, because it's going to change tomorrow. And that's how we approach life. And neither one of us really remembers the bad times. My next style, my question came up, said, Bob, it shows that you have a direct communication style also. How did that one develop? As I thought about that, it came to light. You see, my dad was a Navy sailor, and he had a direct communication style. A direct communication style, as you may know, is he is a leader. He's very ambitious. He's very driven. He's very result-oriented individual. As you can imagine, with a young boy like myself, with a initiating communication style where everything's just fun and games, mixing with a direct communication style from a Navy sailor, they didn't mix so good sometimes, and problems did arise. But Mom and I, we were like two peas in a pod, and we just kept it lighthearted. We kept on laughing through everything. I want to share something though. That direct communication style, it was awesome, because what it had done is it had taught me that when raising my family and raising my children, that direct communication style came in awful handy to directing those children where they needed to go. Not only did it help with my children, I found that it helps with my employees, because not everybody is all fun and games when they come to my job, especially digging dirt and throwing concrete and running jackhammers. So they need to be directed in the direction they should go sometimes. And I'm just the guy to direct them to where they should go. Excuse me. It also states that you have, and the word is articulating communication style is very weak. Matter of fact, it's so weak I can barely get the word out. And I question myself, why do I have such an articulating communication style deficit? And you know, to this time, this day, I still don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out why I can't be analytic. Now, our sponsor has a word for the night. Our sponsor, Jean Symington Craig, shares that when practicing your Zoom speech, practice in front of your mirror and put a smiley face on your camera. Back to the show tonight. It also states that in my speech, my thing, that I have a supportive communication style also. And I thought, well, how did I get a supporting communication style? It occurred to me, if initiating communication style is yellow and a direct communication style is green, mixed together, they make blue. And that's why my supporting communication style came about. A supporting communication style, one might ask, is that I'm cool, I'm calm, I'm relaxed, and I'm very, very dependable. Well, folks, thank you for this evening from Washington, Iowa, and our show of Who Do You Think You Are? Night.
Now we would like to, let me ask Dan, are you in a position to do your evaluation, or would you like us to do table topics first?
I think I could use a little more time, so.
Okay. All right. Well, then we'll come back to that, and we'll go on over to our table topics master, which is Carmen. Let's warmly welcome Carmen for our table topic session.
Thank you, Madam Toastmasters. I have 7 questions for today. Who's gonna be the first volunteer? Okay, Rick. Can you choose between number 1 and 7?
4.
4. Have you ever met a famous or semi-famous author face to face? If so, where?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and viewers at home. I have met several authors, and they're famous within kind of a narrow range. The authors I have met have all written books about transcendental meditation. I've met quite a few of them, from Jack Forum to, I can't remember the other names, but I must have met almost half a dozen authors. And these books have ranged from specific examples such as TM in business, TM in education, TM and society. And you might think these books were kind of formulaic, but they weren't. They were all very interesting, and each one represented a very personal style. I've read these books, and the thing I enjoyed the most is that they were well written. I like to read a lot, and I particularly enjoy books that are well written. I enjoy the written word. I enjoy reading. So whereas in the grand scheme of things, these weren't the most famous authors in the world, I enjoyed meeting them because they wrote about something I knew about, and plus many of them were personal friends of mine. So I wasn't in awe of these people. I just appreciated them so much more because I knew them. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Rick.
I apologize. I got lost and you're in time, but I just forgot my piece here. So I'm trying to do several things at once. Just, so you were in time though, so that was good.
Who's next? Thank you, Aaron.
Sure.
Could you choose question between question 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, or 7?
2.
Number 2. Did someone read to you when you were a child?
You just said did someone read to me when I was a child?
Yeah. Did
Okay.
someone read to you when you were a child? So you can talk about that moment of time.
Thank you for the question, Madam Table Topics Master. Fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home, yes, I am proud to say that my parents read to me a lot as a child. And I think that was a crucial element of me growing up to be the person that I was. Because of that early onset of reading, reading to me is like second nature. I always have to have something, whether it's a newspaper or a book or the Toastmasters magazine, I have to be reading something. My favorite book as a child was Goodnight Moon. There was something so soothing about the way that the book is structured. For anyone who's familiar with that book, it's very famous. And it's basically about people, some unknown narrator saying goodnight to all these people in this house. And one thing I remember specifically all these years later is that every picture in the book has a mouse hidden in it. And one of my favorite things as a kid was my mom would always say, "Where's the mouse?" And I'd look all over the page and find it. Oh, those are great memories. And Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss was probably my favorite author growing up. Mr. Brown Can Moo Can You was always a favorite of mine because of all the onomatopoeia in that book, the animal sounds. And so I have specific memories of me and my mom going moo, and going through all the noises that are in that book. Oh, I have so many great memories of reading with my parents, and it had a huge impact on me even to this day. Thank you for the question, Madam Toastmaster, or Table Topics Master.
Any other volunteer? Thank you, Jean. Just choose a number between 1, 3, 5, 6, or 7.
About 3.
Has a book ever changed your life? If so, could you tell us about what aspect in your life did that book change?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and viewers at home. I'm going to actually mention a book that I just finished this summer. This summer actually is standing out as a watershed moment for me. I've always been a prolific reader. I'm like Erin. I always have stuff I'm reading. My eyes are automatically drawn towards print. I had crime procedural, police procedural as a really strong main line for me for the last several, 4 or 5 years or so. This summer, I got involved with a group of women, mostly women, who were making book recommendations. And I started branching out, and I have just found myself at a higher level in terms of my reading, in terms of what I want to read. There's so many, fiction can actually teach you so much about truth and reality, even more so than truth and reality itself. It's very interesting. The book I want to mention is called This Is Happiness by Niall Williams. And it was a marvelous book. I'm a very fast reader. This book defied being able to go fast. I'm giving myself my signal. Defied being able to go fast. Each sentence was crafted with these beautiful little shimmering phrases of English language. And it was just the most delightful journey. And it takes place in Ireland, and it's a love story, and it's a cultural story. It's a multi-generational story. But the way it changed my life was that it really brought home to me that there are some stellar books that I need to be putting my attention on, because for the rest of my life, it's really important for me to get to those higher levels of just development and understanding and insight. I'm the age that I am, and it's about time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Do I have time for another question?
Let me see. $3.39. Oh, yes. Yes, you do, Carmen. You have some more time.
Okay. Another volunteer? Art? Could you unmute yourself, Art? Choose between numbers 1, 5, 6, or 7.
One.
1. What's the first book you ever remember reading?
Thank you, Madam Topics Master. 73 years ago, no, less than that, probably 72 years ago or 71 years ago, I was being introduced to the little engine that could. And I would like to see a show of hands. Who else had the little engine that could read to them? This famous book is mostly memorable to me by the pictures that were drawn in it very skillfully to attract the attention of a young boy. or young girl. In those days, as a toddler, I was fascinated with earth-moving machines, and there was another book about people who ran steam shovels and bulldozers and trains, and I fantasized about growing up to be one who drove trains or trucks or dump trucks or steam shovels and moved huge mountains of dirt. But the little engine that could, and the train that he pulled over the mountain, I think I can, was the most memorable of those early books. And what was particularly memorable was the cargo he carried of zoo animals and colorful balloons and other things of interest to a young boy. Thank you very much for the question.
One more question?
Yep.
All right, who's next?
Dear Dan.
Thank you, Bob.
Oh, guess that's me.
Could you choose between one number between 5, 6, or 7?
5.
5. Do you prefer paperbacks or ebooks, and why?
I prefer paperback than ebooks. Paperback, I can lay in bed and keep my place when I go to sleep and pick the book right back up and continue to reading. And then I can also reread it again. Although computers is well used every day, and it's not that I don't use a computer, it just seems like when I'm on a computer, if I do e-reading, I get distracted more easily into other things like Facebook or the news or something to that effect. As where a paperback, I really zone into the paperback and I can outline it and take notes. And then when I read back, I have special days on my highlight days where I highlighted a phrase here or a phrase there. And if I don't have much time to read that day, I'll just go read my highlights again over and over until I kind of get those in my spirit, so to speak, so that when I go through my day and troubles begin, I can remember those little quotes that I had to myself, which brings me some encouragement and some strength that we all need in today's times. And that's why I like paperback. Although some people like the ebooks because they send it back and forth, it seems to me that I've tried that with my grandchildren. And when I ask them later, they say, I ask them, did you get my text or email? And their response usually is, no, I was on TikTok or something. So with a book, when my grandson comes over, I make him read a little section, and then I make him write it out what he learned for that paragraph. So that works well for me and my family, is reading in paperback. Thank you.
Good. We actually have time for one more, Carmen.
Are you allowing for me having to do my evaluation still? I think we're up to time.
Oh, hang on. You're right. I'm thinking we've already done that. Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, I think we're done there. Thank you very much, Carmen, for some probing questions on reading, and I think we all learn about each other when we talk about what we're reading and what we like and all. So I think what we'll do now is just hand off to our table topics evaluator. Are you good to go, Art?
Yes.
Okay, so you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not yourself. So you have 4 people. What do you think? Can you do it in 2 to 3?
Yeah, I'll shoot.
Do you need it? Do you need a little more? You know, your usual comprehensive style.
2.5 to 3.5 should do it. Give me a,
I can't do the math on that one.
yeah.
So,
I think 2 to 3 should do it.
okay. What, did somebody raise their hand?
I was thinking we should vote.
Oh yeah, no, we should vote, exactly. Okay, so let me look. Everyone qualified. Rick, Aaron, Jean, Art, Bob. Everyone qualified. And it looks like you send that to me, Toastmaster, and I'll try not to hold it against you. If you don't vote for me, of course. Okay. Interesting.
Tough choices.
Everybody was good tonight. Do I have everybody? Let's see, how many people do we have?
I haven't.
You haven't done yours?
No, I'm looking over my evaluation stuff.
You should be getting 6 votes.
Right. Well, Art, we need you to vote.
Hold on here.
Otherwise, you can give me your proxy and, you know, we know where that'll go.
If Art needs a little more time, I could do my evaluation of the speech.
Do you want to do that, Art?
Yes.
Or is that, I mean, it's a little hiccupy, but we'll do that because it's hard to sometimes pull this. All right. Rick, why don't we let you just handle all the evaluators now, because you've got Dan and then you'll have Art. So we'll hand off to our general evaluator, Rick Starr, and let him do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And now we'll hear from Dan, who will evaluate Bob's speech.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Bob. Bob had the choice in doing this project to do a serious speech or humorous speech, any kind of delivery he wanted. He gave us some nice humor, lots of high energy, a very fun project. I think it appealed very much on that level of keeping us alert and engaged. So well done on that, Bob. I thought it was quite an interesting choice to interview yourself in sort of a talk show format, and that was fun as well. The other aspect, I'm interested to see what this looks like on a video, is where you were saying, who do you think you are through that? What's that, a magnifying glass?
Yes, that's my magnifying glass. It's my magnifying.
Well, that was an interesting prop. Lots of fun. So well done. We really enjoyed that. I'm going to say that just that energy level, that humor, that fun was what you did really well in this talk. You also had good eye contact. You had good audience awareness. So very well done. It asked me, what might the speaker want to work on? I think what Bob could work on in delivering this kind of talk would be vocal variety. There is that high energy, sort of more rapid style of talking, Vocal variety is the chance to speak in different tones, different speeds. And the value of that for your audience is that that variety makes the various parts stronger. So if you've got some pauses, you've got some parts of the speech delivered at a slower or softer tone, then the fun, higher energy parts are that much more engaging when they come. Another thing that this evaluation asks is, what's a way that the speaker could challenge himself? And I think what Bob could have done in this case would be to go a little more traditionally in terms of introduction, body, conclusion. That is, rather than telling us some of the nuts and bolts of preparing for the project, just give us more of a classic introduction as you began your talk show, and then finish up with more of a classic wrap up at the end. So the choice that I'm suggesting for Bob is that he not tell us that he learned about his style by answering questions in the Pathways project. He not mention to us that he was given certain pointers about how to practice by Jean. Those were plenty fun when they were part of this talk. But another way to go would be to not tell us any of the framework that it goes with it. All in all, I think it was a very fun speech, well delivered. The other thing that I'd like to mention is that it seems clear that Bob really does understand his style well. He knows himself. He knows how he interacts with people. He knows how he was influenced by his mother. So we learned a lot about him, and we were entertained. We're looking for more wonderful projects from you, Bob, in the future. Thanks.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. Art, could you give us the table topic speakers evaluation, please?
Yes. I'll evaluate 4 of the 5 speakers and not myself. Rick was first. He had question number 4. Had he ever met a famous author? He took 30 seconds. He greeted the audience. He chose to answer the question directly. He said, yes, he had met authors, admitted that they might have failed on the famous front, but that they were personal friends and that the books were interesting to him. One suggestion I would have for another way of doing this speech, you mentioned the name of a couple of the authors, Jack Forum being the one that I recall, but not the name of any of the books. And I would suggest mentioning a book name if you could. Next speaker was Aaron, was asked the question if he'd been read to as a child. He took 30 seconds, he greeted the audience. He was tremendously enthusiastic, recalling his mother reading to him a book in which there were pictures on every page containing a mouse, and the way she kept him engaged in finding the mouse hidden in the pictures. And Dr. Seuss, what he could do differently would be to imitate some of the Dr. Seuss poetry for just would you, could you with a cat, as a demonstration of his love for that. Jean had question number 3, had she ever had her life changed by reading a book? She took the time, she greeted the audience, and she waxed eloquent describing this beautifully crafted English language sentences, but could change the way she made her speech by quoting one of these sentences if they were that memorable. Bob spoke about question number 5, preferring paper, physical versus electronic books, computer-based books. He did not take 30 seconds, as I remember. He did greet the audience. He answered the question directly with a yes. I would suggest for changing his speech that he might consider mentioning the name of one of the books that he preferred to have in a physical form rather than electronic. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Art. Madam Timer, did both of our evaluators qualify?
Yes.
Okay, so if we would vote on best evaluator and send your vote to Jean Symington Craig.
So that would be Dan and Art.
Do we have all the votes?
All the votes.
Okay. Now I'll ask for the reports for the meeting. Madam Timer, could you give us the timer's report?
Yes, Mr. General Evaluator. Bob's speech was 5 minutes, 50 seconds. For table topics, Rick, 1 minute, 54 seconds. Aaron, 2 minutes, 3 seconds. Jean, 2 minutes, 27 seconds. Art, 2 minutes even. Bob, 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Valuation, Dan right at 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Art at 3 minutes and 4 seconds. And that's my report.
Thank you, Madam Timer. Aaron, could you give us the grammarian's report?
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. As I mentioned, our word of the day was insidious. I believe Jean used it early on in the meeting, and I think that was it. Unless anyone would like to prove me wrong. There are a couple turns of phrase that I really enjoyed during today's meeting. During Jean's table topic, she was talking about a book and she said, this book defied going fast. I kind of like that as an alternative way to say that this book required, a more in-depth, slower read. I like that, defy going fast. Bob said that he would highlight sections in a book that he read until they were in his spirit. That was kind of interesting. And then Art always has some use of language or grammar that always strikes me. He was talking on Jean during his evaluation, and he said that she waxed eloquently. I like that. Thank you all. That's my.
Aaron, could you now give us the odd counter report?
Thank you again, Mr. General Evaluator. We were pretty good at today's meeting as far as the filler words go. Jean, 2 ahs, 1 well, 2 repeats, Word of the day. Dan, 2 ahs, 1 2 so's. Art, clean as a whistle. Carmen, 2 ahs, 2 repeats. Bob, 2 ahs, 1 so, 1 and used to join 2 sentences together that was unnecessary. Rick, 1 1 repeat. That's my report. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Mr. Counter. And now it's time for a joke.
Hooray!
Who said that? Before I came to the meeting, I looked up reading jokes because that was the theme of the meeting. And they were all pretty lame, so I'm not going to use any of them. Although that usually doesn't stop me. Instead, I'll tell you an anecdote. Some of you may have heard this before. I was at a conference once where the guest speaker was Hans Selye, who is he's gone now, but he was a very famous scientist and whose field of expertise was stress. And the person who introduced him gave a very thorough, to the point of painful, introduction where he listed every position, every award, every paper. The thing seemed like 15 minutes long. Finally, he introduced Hans Selye, and the first thing Hans Selye said was, after that introduction, I hesitate to stand in my own august presence. And now to evaluate the meeting and evaluate the evaluators. I think we had a very good meeting. We had a couple of glitches, and mostly caused by people having to take on multiple roles. Had some challenges with finding the cards and getting the cards, but eventually we straightened that out. And Aaron, maybe at some point you could show us how to change the background with the colors, because I think that would be, once we set that up, that would be very easy to use, I assume. And the other challenge is some people had mics on when they weren't speaking. And as Dan mentioned, we would like not to do that, and so that doesn't interfere with the recording. So maybe either the Toastmaster or the president at the beginning of the meeting could remind people to mute or put the mute button on when they're not speaking. So to evaluate the evaluators, Dan gave, as usual, a very thorough evaluation. Dan is one of my favorite evaluators, and he did a wonderful job in my opinion. He started out just with an overview of the good things about the speech, that Bob used humor, he was enthusiastic, there was a lot of energy, and he liked the idea of the prop that Bob used. And he also gave good recommendations, vocal variety. Not only he gave a good recommendation, but he explained how vocal variety is used, and it leads to a much more effective speech. Another good point was he felt Bob could have used the more traditional intro, body, and conclusion for the structure of the speech. And to emphasize that, Dan had a great intro, and he also had a great conclusion to his evaluation. And I've fallen down a bit because I can't think of anything that Dan could do better. Good job, Dan. Art, I think being the table topics evaluator is one of the most challenging roles in Toastmasters. You have to listen very carefully. You have to come up with good points and recommendations for several speakers. You have to jot them all down, and you have to speak very clearly about them. I think Art did a good job, as he always does. He gave recommendations, he gave good points, and he was able to squeeze it in his allotted time. And I'd like to turn it over to our Toastmaster, Jean Symington Craig.
Evaluator. Now we have meeting awards. And let me scroll back up because I forget. No, I'm just kidding. Let me grab my little ribbons here. So first we have Best Evaluator. Drum roll, please. And this you don't have to have your mic off. You know, you can make noise. Yeah. Dan Craig.
And
Okay.
good job, Dan.
Yeah, Dan Craig. Okay. Then we had our best table topics. Drum roll. Dr. Aaron Russell Seuss. Yay! Okay, okay, okay. So Aaron, that one was quite a little bit all over because we all did well, look like. So I think that about does it. I will turn it back to our president, Aaron. Wait, you know, we're really short, so maybe we could do a couple things in terms of our time. We're at quarter to, so okay. But turn it back over to president. Here we go.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And thank you, Toastmasters, for another very successful meeting. A couple announcements that I'd like to make. First is the International Convention is August 29th. And for those of you that may not have heard, in light of the coronavirus, the International Convention is virtual, which is actually a really good thing, in my opinion, because it's free and you can watch it right from your own home. And I believe the district is also doing a watch party for the international contest, where the best of the best speakers compete for the crown jewel. And as more information comes out on that, I will be sure to forward that on. But I encourage everyone to at least attend. I think watching the international contest would be awesome, and even attending some of the webinars that they have during the convention would be a great experience. Jean.
Your understanding, Aaron, that we all need to register first in order to, and we all should have received an email. I think we got it actually last Tuesday because I remember you talking about it and maybe it had just come in.
I forwarded it.
So that's the thing is, I think if you have any inkling to attend, you ought to get registered.
I mean, there's no reason not to. It's free.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, you would have had to travel to Paris. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's a much bigger disruption.
Has everyone gotten the email on registering for the convention?
Mm-hmm.
Good deal.
Okay.
I encourage everyone to register.
Yeah.
We talked during our officers meeting about First Fridays. I had mentioned a couple weeks ago that First Fridays is obviously doing everything virtual. And that was a great networking opportunity that we took part in last year. And it's something I'd like to take part in again this year. In talking with the director of First Friday, she has mentioned that she thinks a good opportunity for us would be to do some small videos, like 2 to 3 minutes. In our officers meeting, we had talked about doing an interview format. Theoretically speaking, I would be the interview, come up with some questions for those that are interested, and do just have a back and forth conversation. I wouldn't anticipate it'd be anything extensive. they're asking for relatively short videos just because people's attention spans are, short. And we would post them periodically on the First Friday's website. They'd post, and Facebook, that they would advertise those for us. I think it'd be a great networking opportunity. Just be thinking if that's something that you would be interested in partaking in. Every officer has officially been trained. I was the odd duck out until last week when I finally got myself trained. So, yay.
Yay.
And I think there are actually some more officer trainings. Anyone can attend the officer trainings. I know, Bob, you specifically had asked about attending one. So I think there's still some opportunities. I can forward on that information to you. Jean.
Division W is doing a training next the 12th. Is that Wednesday? Yes, Wednesday the 12th at 5:15. And then Division Y is doing one on the 13th at 5:45. If you go to district19.me and then go into the calendar, you can look at those dates and you can see the event and you can see who to contact if you would like to attend. The way it's working is that you let the organizer know and then they send a link to you. Either you register through Eventbrite, but they'll tell you the procedure for getting in the loop, and then they'll know how they're going to break out the breakout rooms in Zoom based on who has registered. So it's it's not a big commitment. It's definitely done by 8 o'clock, if not sooner. So, it's a good thing, and you get to meet other people. So it's a social scratch as well.
Thank you, Jean.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, I am looking to do one-on-ones with every member of the club. So far, I've had one-on-ones with Bob, Carmen, and Art. So I'll be reaching out to others as well. This is one of my goals as president, is just talk to everyone, get a feel for people's general experience with Toastmasters, anything that they'd like our club to improve on, or myself, their pathways goals, and how we can acclimate that towards our club goals as a whole, our education goals and pathways, just stuff like that. I'm looking for them to be relatively casual. Just be on the lookout for an email from them. Jean, did you have something? You made it sound like you had something you wanted to talk about if we had time. You had said right at the end of the meeting that we had some time left over.
Officer meeting?
Maybe I was misinterpreting what you were saying.
At the end of the officer meeting, you mean?
At the end of this meeting, like just now, like 5 minutes ago, you said something about us having extra time.
Oh.
I think she was just commenting that we had extra time.
Yeah, I was trying as Toastmaster to get us closer to where and I'm not quite sure how we ended up with so much extra time.
Information on the subject of the international conference. I just looked up while we were talking. I received the email invitation to register from Toastmasters International on July 28th. That's where it came in. So you folks should be able to find it in your in-basket on that day.
That was our last meeting. That was last week, Tuesday, the 28th.
Yeah, I do remember it came in on the night of our meeting.
They came from TI.
Yeah, and if we look at it and we register, we'll probably start getting excited because it'll show, what you can do. This is just a really once in a lifetime opportunity, unless we're still dealing with another pandemic next year. But to be able to attend it
It will
for
be.
free without, it's pretty amazing. So maybe we'll actually learn some things about how do you give speeches in a Zoom format.
That'd be a good workshop.
Yeah.
So just one more comment on having everyone not muted during speeches. As the speaker, you're going to have to be aware of if everybody's laughing to make sure you pause to let the laughter die down before you continue. So you do that normally in a speech to a live audience. You're going to have to be more aware of it now.
Right. And Rick, that's really important that you're saying that because you've told some really funny speeches and, the laughter has been extensive.
Yeah. They even called the police on us once we were laughing. So.
Does anyone have any other business they'd like to mention? All right. Thank you, everyone, for
Thanks,
another
everybody.
successful meeting.
Good meeting.
Thank you.
See you next
Good.
week.
Thank you.